Hello y'all, welcome to part 3 of my Kingdom of Ukraine Khrushchev path playthrough in the Hearts of Iron 4 mod, Kaiserredux. In part 2, Khrushchev was invited into the government and is now starting to assert control over the national economy and by extension, the country as a whole. Historically, well, if you're unaware, historically Nikita Khrushchev was the leader of the Soviet Union from 1953 to 1964. Before his time as leader, he notably acted as a political commissar, was a leader of the Communist Party of Ukraine, fought in the Battle of Stalingrad, and later served as a close advisor of Joseph Stalin. So, he did know Joseph Stalin, and speaking, well, in real life anyway, in our timeline, but speaking of Joseph Stalin, in this playthrough, he's in charge of Georgia. But with that said, Khrushchev's not entirely in charge of the country right now. In fact, if we click on the Kingdom of Ukraine here, it still has its king, Vasil I von Habsburg-Lothringen, who is the head of state. And I think with that going on, Khrushchev at this time is just a head of government. So he's a very powerful head of government with more ceremonial, well, increasingly just ceremonial head of state. And now we're doing the focus expropriate Kulak holdings. So it'll take 9 more days, I think. So 35-day long focus. And there's some focus in here I noticed about a blue Danube, well, the international diplomacy part of the focus tree. We may potentially down the line get into a war with Romania, Belarus, or Galicia Lodomeria. Galicia Lodomeria, if you're unaware, is a puppet of Austria. So I think right now, since we'll probably first end up going after Romania, more specifically Bessarabia and Bujak here, we're going to try and have our army move over to perhaps advance into Romania just in case they choose not to go along with our demands. And it would probably help to encourage them, so to say, if we have our entire army on the border. And what is this outdated equipment and production? I think it's, okay, planes. Get new planes, do that now. And we have some outdated pre-dreadnought ships being made, but it's fine. Speaking of ships, I think I need to get an admiral. Yeah, I don't have a commander for my navy in the Black Sea. So Kulak's targeted by land expropriation. I should probably read that now that we got that focus. Expropriate Kulak holdings done. So it says here, Nikita Khrushchev has been tasked with resolving Ukraine's economic stagnation. In a speech to Parliament, Khrushchev announced a new economic program aimed at collectivizing the vast lands used by kulaks for agriculture. According to this proposed program, by integrating privately owned land holdings in the state-run collectively controlled farms, a greater crop yield can be achieved. Some within Parliament have shown opposition to this program, stating the unwillingness of kulaks to hand over their land to the state. It is to be seen how successful this program will be, and this is a bold strategy from Khrushchev, which will cause us to lose base stability. And I think that focus gave us 6% base stability, and we just lost it all there in that event, which is unfortunate. But now, in the focus tree, we're going to start doing Fate of the Monarchy, and it says here in the description, King Vasily has become somewhat of a laughingstock to the Ukrainian people. By handing major powers to Khrushchev and seeing more issues solved in months than the king himself had resolved in years, he has only highlighted his own irrelevance. A former Austrian king with no Austrian backing. His position is being openly debated by Popular Front members. And the Popular Front, oh, I canceled it, whoops. The Popular Front is a group basically affiliated with Khrushchev politically. So that's what that is. And now, how long will that dreadnought be? 1937? I mean, not too long. I think 1 more year. I need to trade some people for rubber and tungsten, it looks like. It helps to trade now rather than later, probably. So get some tungsten from the Portuguese and get some rubber from the Dutch East Indies, who just has tons of it. It's just so much rubber there. And now we wait for Fate of the Monarchy to be done. Do I exercise my army? I don't know. Let me get this guy unit leader trait. What can I give you? Winter Expert or Adaptable? Those are terrain traits. I don't know. Winter Expert, we'll do that, yes. And now we have another event. It looks like creation of the International Avant-Garde. It says here, another crisis. Our government's decision to divide the property of the kulaks has led to a second crisis among the farmers. Our collectivization attempts have ended in a total failure, with agricultural yields from the new collectivized farms cumulatively less than the small holdings that they replaced. Unbelievably, the situation in Ukraine has managed to deteriorate even further. And that is, says here, proof that syndicalism doesn't always work, and we lose 10% base stability, and we get a national spirit called another crisis, which affects our factories being used for consumer goods, which is going to make constructing stuff a little slower, which that is very unfortunate. And to try and help that issue, let me go to my tab, political tab here, well, not national overview tab, I guess you could call it, and switch from civilian economy to early mobilization. Does that help at all, please? I hope it did. At least we got one factory off of working on consumer goods. Alright then, but fate of the monarchy will be done soon. Syndicalism spreads to Burma. Interesting. So, are they going to form a faction in any way at all? Yes, they are now in a faction with the Bharatiya Commune in India. So they're a regional faction there in that part of the world. And I think Huey Long got elected president in the USA, but that's not of no concern. That's no concern to us. But we have an event here, the fate of the Ukrainian monarchy. His Majesty, King Vasily I Vazhevach, I can't read all that. I can't pronounce that correctly. Anyway, moving on. Gave Nikita Khrushchev extensive powers in a bid to control the revolutionary trends sweeping the country in the aftermath of the crisis. Now that Khrushchev's initial program has been implemented successfully, well, I guess mixed results considering how the whole collectivization efforts went. Anyway, moving on from that, many interest groups within Ukraine have begun debating the continued prominence of the monarchy considering his relative powerlessness in the fate of recent crises. So we have the UPSF can take power, the USDRP can take power. Let's just have Khrushchev stay in power. The poor love Khrushchev, but dislike the king. Long live the Republic. And now we leave Middle Europa, which is a faction led by the Middle Europa / Reichspakt. It is a faction led by the German Empire. This is now, Ukraine has become a totalist government. Nikita Khrushchev is in charge, and only him. He is the Red Hetman, per se. And speaking of that, let's now complete the focus of Red Hetman. I'll read the description in a moment. And here in the description for Nikita Khrushchev, it says, Nikita Khrushchev, authoritarian socialist. This is just his leader description. Authoritarian socialist has become the premier of Ukraine. Khrushchev, born to Russian peasants near the current Russian-Ukrainian border, harbors a deep disdain for the land-owning kulaks. He plans to eliminate them as a social class through forced seizure and collectivization of their land. Such measures, however, are unpopular among all but a small number of Ukrainians, which may force Khrushchev to compromise. Interesting. So we're doing a Red Hetman now. That would take 35 days. The alternative to this was getting rid of Khrushchev in a way, and I think it would have sent us down the monarcho-socialist path, but I didn't do that in this playthrough. We're just trying to keep Khrushchev in power. And it says here, Red Hetman, as the great Hetman Bogdan Khmelnytsky, who once liberated peoples on both banks of the Dnieper from the Polish yoke once did, Nikita Khrushchev and the Popular Front deposed the king, the Hetman, and, well, he's purged, well, he's dealt with the Rada of all elements. He's gotten rid of all the elements in the Rada, not willing to embrace the new reality. Finally, the people of Ukraine are ready to build a new society, one both proud and free. That's what the description says. From this, we'll get an event, more war support, more political power, and totalism will rise it will become more popular as an ideology. And speaking of totalism, the sub-ideology for totalism Ukraine has, the Ukrainian People's Republic of Soviets has at this point, is communist. So this is a communist government led by Nikita Khrushchev in charge of Ukraine. Very interesting flag there, I will say, which did change with the demise of the monarchy in a way. Attempt at a military coup. German agitators, with the help of reactionary officers and a part of our armed forces, have launched a coup against our government and are trying to restore the pro-German regime in Ukraine. Elements of the military mission that had previously been deployed in key garrisons on the Ostwall. So they're sending, okay. In Sevastopol port and in the capital, joined forces with pro-German troops and have started running street battles near the ministry building, so there is an attempt to try and get rid of Khrushchev's government, evidently. The country is in absolute chaos and liable to deteriorate further. With the survival of cynicalism and Ukraine on a knife edge, how will this situation develop? Let's have the Red Militias successfully defend Ukraine, and we'll lose a whopping 20% base stability, which is pretty rough. That is very, very bad. Red Hetman will be done soon. Once it is, we'll start doing a global Ukraine. German military mission leaves Ukraine. Interesting. Reading this, it says, following our decision to leave the hated Reichspakt bloc, the German military mission present in our country since 1918 has finally left. Already, officers and advisors that have been stationed on the Ostwall and Sevastopol and the capital Kiev have been surreptitiously evacuated over, I think that's how you say that. They've been evacuated over the course of the day. This is truly a testament to an independent Ukraine. And from this, we lose the national spirit German military advisors, which was quite good. It gave us more division, organization. That's just what we had to do, considering the path Ukraine is going now with Nikita Khrushchev as its leader. So Red Hetman will be done in, like, I think, what is it? Let me check here. In, say, 12, 13 days? 21 days. That's not even right. 21 days, yeah. Mechanical computing, that's what it says. Concentrated Industry 1 is done. Military command seized by Khrushchev. The Ukrainian armed forces have been infested by reactionary forces, apparently, since its formation. Well, I guess they oppose Khrushchev's government in a sense. They would be liable to do that. I don't know. That's what it seems to imply here in the event. But going on, these politically connected generals serve to promote ideas that conflict with Comrade Khrushchev's grand revolutionary plans. Therefore, it is unacceptable to maintain the current military command structure. These so-called reactionaries will be demoted and replaced with those loyal to our great comrade. For the sake of stability and avoiding any possible outright insurgencies against the government, it has been advised not to completely get rid of these generals, for now at least. Loyalty has its rewards. And from this, we'll get several new generals. Notably, we have Leonid Brezhnev, who in real life, I think, was, in our timeline, was the successor to Nikita Khrushchev as the leader of the USSR. We also have personalities like Klemen Furushalov, Kamenov, quite a few people. I think, historically in our timeline, a few of those guys may have Stalin may got rid of, he may have gotten rid of a few of them. Let's just say that, potentially. And now, in the 1930s. Once again, in our timeline. But anyway, point being, now we're going to do MG08. Just get support weapons done, research that. Also, radio. And are those new generals, those new commanders, how good are they? Let me see. So we have 4 skill level. Okay. I think the current commanders we have are still the best Ukraine has to offer at this time. So they'll be useful to us regardless. They won't be replaced by new commanders, it seems. Because they have the best skill levels. Still, the best stats, so to say. Let's modify our officer corps. Army command focus, army focus offense, Republican victory in Brazil. Interesting. Red Hetman will be done soon. Come on. Please get there, Red Hetman. We get another event once this is done. And plus, yeah, the Red Hetman of Revolutionary Ukraine. That's what we'll get, among other things. Mustafa Kemal seizes power in the Ottoman Empire, it looks like. Is that the case? I think so. And how much longer till a Red Hetman is done? Only a couple of days. Alright then. That's going to be interesting. So the Red Hetman of Revolutionary Ukraine. Since the birth of the current Ukrainian state, Ukrainian people have been subjected to ridicule, mass poverty amongst the working class, ruled by an Austrian puppet king whilst subservient to the German Empire. It appeared to many that the future of this nation was hopeless. That change with one man, Comrade Khrushchev, has taken the mantle of leadership, proving himself to be a modern equivalent to the legendary Hetmans. Khrushchev has firmly booted foreign imperialistic influences whilst pulling the poor out of plight, providing a new hope for all Ukrainians. And Comrade Khrushchev is what it'll be called, and he controls the country. At this point, there's no king in his way anymore. Now let's do a global Ukraine. That will take 35 days, and this is just our international diplomacy opening focus. Well, our opening international diplomacy focus. It says here, Ukraine has made great strides toward rebooting its frail economy and political systems, and now it is time to pay attention to reorienting reorientating our foreign policy. Though we didn't have any serious opportunities to strengthen our position in Eastern Europe a decade ago, maybe the situation is different now. So we get political power and a national spirit, which will provide us with more higher recruitable population and a higher division recovery rate. And it is through this focus, we'll go through this part of the focus, a branch of the focus tree. We'll try to grab Romania, well, part of Romania. We want Bessarabian Bujak here. We'll get cores on it, and that'll be more manpower for us, definitely. Bessarabia has 2.50 million people in it. That is not small at all. That's quite a few. That could be useful for manpower, definitely. And now, with all that said, I think I'm going to end what is part 3 of my Kingdom of Ukraine Khrushchev Path playthrough in the Hearts of Iron 4 mod Kaiserredux here. If you enjoyed the mod, you can check it out in the video description. A link to it is there. If you enjoyed the video itself, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.